This thing?
Yeah.
It's a camera. It also takes film.
Oh, all right. Okay.
It's a digital camera.
Yeah.
And this is a microphone.
Oh, okay. You know, I've been locked up 40-some years. I've been knowing.
Go back to your time before coming here.
What is this?
That is a...
Peach? Sparkling water. They don't sell stuff like this here.
Yeah.
Never.
When I got locked up, my twins were 8 months old. And that was the last time I saw them. I wrote them letters like every week for the first 20 years I was here. And by this time, now they're all adults. So I it's time for me to stop trying.
How could you take a 19-year-old person and just take the worst decision he ever made and hold him responsible for it for the rest of his entire life and not even consider that? He may have changed.
He was a thug on the streets 24, 25 years ago, and we're angry at that person, not realizing that that person no longer exists. Actually hasn't existed for like over 20 years.
Welcome to another episode, everyone. All of these individuals are serving life in prison, have been in prison a very long time in Angola, the very dangerous Angola prison. And they have apparently redeemed themselves and are looking to come back into society, but society is often unforgiving. Will they get another chance? Hear their stories and stay out of there.
These men are serving life sentences at Angola prison in Louisiana. They don't have the possibility of parole.
I'm serving a life sentence for second-degree murder.
First-degree murder.
Second-degree murder and armed robbery.
I'm serving a life sentence.
A life sentence without parole.
I was 18 when this crime happened.
I was 17 years old.
I was 18 at the time.
I come here, I was 17. I'm 80 years old now.
People who commit crimes should be held responsible. But how much punishment is enough for justice? As you listen to these men, ask yourself, do they deserve a chance at redemption?
I had time to reflect and what my life would be if I had to stay here. And then I started noticing the need here of the people that was illiterate. So I said, okay, well, I could do some good here. You know, so I started tutoring guys and I started feeling a self-worth. I said, you know, well, I could give something back like that. You know, all the while still dealing with the fact, you know, that I took a life, an innocent life.
If I happen to die here in prison, that's not something that I want. But I had to think about and take under consideration, I took another human's life. A young man, Damien, you know, I went to school with him. He still was somebody's son. If I could go back in time and redo that, that would have never happened. It shouldn't have happened.
In the U.S., there are more than 50,000 people.
And of course, that's how it is with most of us. Hindsight is 20/20. If we can go back in time and change some things, we would. And oftentimes, we have this reflection after the situation has already transpired, after we've already taken a life because we lack emotional strength and emotional intelligence, self-control, then we have these revelations about how we wish we hadn't have done it. It's understandable because we go back and we contemplate and say it wasn't worth it and think about all of the other steps that we could have taken to resolve that situation. Unfortunately, it's too late for many individuals who come to this realization. Thus, the goal being to think before you act, to think ahead of time. Easier said than done, of course. But you don't want to be an individual sitting back at 80 years old talking about one decision that you could have made that would have changed the course and the trajectory of your life. Understand that it takes 20 seconds to get into trouble and 20 years to get out of it. Say that again. It takes 20 seconds to get in trouble, but it takes 20 years to get out of trouble.
People serving life without parole, 70% of whom are Black.
If you come here young, well, prison provides. So you never have to be responsible if you don't want to. It's hard to mature in prison because prison isn't set up for you to bear the stress of responsibility and to grow from that. So, you have to kind of seek it out your own.
With so many long sentences, America's prison population is aging. Taxpayers spend about $70,000 to keep every elderly prisoner locked up every year. So Angola created a hospice program. Prisoners volunteer to take care of other prisoners, basically people convicted of murder caring for the dying.
It gave me a purpose, and showed me a different side, compassionate side. And I probably sat with over 50 people to their death.
Man, I ain't being no man, but my first patient was a guy dying of AIDS. When I'm looking at a man weighing 60-something pounds, like, man, you can't do nothing. So I used to pick him out of the bed, put him in a wheelchair, bring him in the bathroom, help him, bed him up, tease him, mess with him. But when I first was able to help a person, I just felt different.
Now, excuse the expression, but they wash all up the crack of another man's ass, all up under his nuts and all. It doesn't care what nationality or race he is. Is that man faking? Have that man changed? He might have been a character when he got here, but this man done developed character. This man done developed compassion. It comes down to not so much what you done done, but what have you become?
Volunteering, mentoring, education. New experiences gave these men new purpose.
Got a diploma from Culinary Art School from Baton Rouge Community College and 3 certifications from the National Center for Construction Education and Research. In the event that I ever went home, I could be an asset to society and not a liability. I prepare as if I'm going home tomorrow. Even though I have a life without parole, I try to prepare as if I'm going home tomorrow, because who knows what may happen. I'd rather go prepared than go unprepared.
Do we really want to be a country where there's no amount of growth that will ever give someone even a chance to leave prison? A country that's fine with endless punishment, but never with mercy.
That's the worst part. Knowing that I'm a changed man, knowing that I have the skills to go be a better person in society, knowing that I want to do better in society, and knowing that I can do better in society, and not having the opportunity to do that because I have a life sentence without parole. It's hard.
But we have a solution. Second look.
It's very hard. Because you have no hope. Life without the possibility of parole. The LWOP, they call it. LWOP, life without parole. Life without the possibility of parole. LWOP. And all of these individuals have that. If you have life, that's one thing. Because they've been letting a lot of lifers out, at least in California. And though it wasn't always that way, in fact, it used to be hell trying to get out if you had a life sentence. It was nearly impossible. Things have changed over the last 6 or 7 years or so, where they're letting a lot of lifers out. But if you have life without the possibility of parole, oftentimes it means just that. There's no possibility of parole. The only time that you can possibly have parole is on appeal, upon appeal, if you win your appeal. Other than that, you're going to die in the prison cell for the most part, barring some miracle. And if you have redeemed yourself, rehabilitated yourself, and you feel like you can be an asset to society, then that's going to hurt. Because, being held accountable for something that you did 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, of course, being held accountable, depending on a crime, but at what point does this person deserve a chance at rehabilitation? We've all made some sort of mistakes, some more dire and desperate than others, naturally. But none of us are perfect. We are all imperfect beings striving. And so I'm of the mindset that these individuals at some juncture need a chance at life because they can contribute to society. And Lord knows society needs every contribution that it can get.
Reforms would offer a chance at parole for those who have transformed themselves and who've already served a significant portion of their sentence. To be fair, there may be lifers who haven't grown, but for the many who have, they deserve a second chance.
Ask yourself, when you were 16, 17 years old, are you the same person? Did you even think the same way you did now? No. That's human nature. People change.
If rehabilitation is a process, there should be an end to it. You get to a certain grade level and there's not, high school and college and, you could pursue undergraduate and then graduate studies. There's none of that. It's just life sentence.
A few states have implemented changes in the criminal justice system, including second look reforms, and some of these men have actually gotten out. But they're only a small fraction of those serving life without parole. Now, if you're concerned they might harm someone else, less than 3% of lifers who are released are rearrested. And when they are, it's frequently for a technicality, not a violent crime. In other words, lengthy prison sentences don't improve public safety. Over time, Americans could save billions of dollars if some of these older reformed men are set free.
I've been here longer than I've been with my family. So sometimes I question where I'm from. I be tempting to write my mom and them and say.
So 3% of lifers are people who had life in prison that are paroled, went on appeal, whatever happens, they obtain their freedom. 3% or less than 3% of them return to prison. And as the narrator said, oftentimes it's for a technicality. Well, so there is rehabilitation in these long sentences. And the thing is, once these individuals get from under a life sentence, of course, there is no surprise that the return rate is 3% or less. Because once you have a second chance at life, you're thankful, you're so blessed. You just had life in prison, however long you did in there, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 10 months, whatever the number. You're home now and you're so happy and grateful to be free that the chances of you committing another crime after having a life sentence and now obtaining your freedom and going back to prison, well, it's less than 3%. Because most people, once they obtain their freedom after a life sentence, they're going to be so happy, so grateful, so blessed that they're home now. They're not going to do anything to return to prison, which is why the recidivism rate is 3% or less amongst former life sentences in prison.
If I die, leave me here. Don't come get me. Don't bury me with them. I don't know them no more. Bury me with my friends.
I know without a doubt I'm going home. If I die here, whether it's tomorrow or God forbid 25 years from now, my body will not stay here. I'm leaving Angola. I'm not going to be buried here. Somebody who says, I want to be buried in Angola, that's the saddest part of what a life sentence does to you.
I make sure that my life is very purposeful. Every time I invest myself into someone else, I free a part of myself. A part of me will leave here with you. I'm going to love people so passionately until a part of me will always live outside of the gates of Angola.
I have caught plenty hell and it's been changed. Well, I hope I'll be lucky enough to get out. I'll go somewhere and make me a living. I'm starting all over again. Yeah. They say the older you get, the more you learn. Well, I've learned a lot of things, you understand? So,
Wow. Whew. There you have it, people. That was tough, man. He died, as you just seen in 2019. The older individual, the last individual, I believe he said he was 80 years old, had been in there since he was 17, and he ended up serving 66 years altogether. He was just talking about getting over or getting out and starting over. Never did happen. He died right there. And as the other individual was saying, in tears, very emotional, understandable. That's the thing. Dying in prison, they bury you right there outside of the prison, right outside of the gate somewhere. Put a stick right there, and they just bury your body right there. And he said, "I don't want to die, right here in Angola, or be buried right here in Angola. Take my body out of here. Die. I'm right here on prison grounds forever. Died in the prison. Now I got to stay right here in the prison, even into my death. No, the hell, get me out of here." But that's just it, man. Let just be a PSA and a lesson to individuals to learn from these individuals, these clearly very strong individuals. And some of them do, I'm going to say some, I don't know all of their situations, but people in general need a second chance at life because none of us are perfect. Of course, there are some who commit such dastardly crimes that where they're at, that's just what it is. But there are some who can contribute to society, very intelligent and smart individuals behind those walls, and we need them out here in society. A lot of these individuals, again, once they've committed a crime and had a life sentence, they're not returning. They're not going to be out here carrying weapons. They're not a threat or a danger to anyone out here. They can be an asset to society, but not a liability. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.